All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into one of the most powerful mental models out there, plot. I mean, think about it. It's the engine driving every story we tell, every argument we make, and pretty much every belief we hold. And it's so much more than just figuring out what happens next in a movie. Plot is basically the fundamental tool our minds use to take a random, chaotic bunch of events and turn them into something that makes sense, something with a destination.
Okay, but here's the thing. This amazing tool, it has a hidden danger. This deep need we have for a plot, for a story that connects the dots, can actually trick us into seeing connections that aren't even there. And to really get a handle on this risk, we've got to go way back to a story from the 17th century, where understanding plot was literally a matter of life and death.
Okay, let's dive right into this with this incredible case involving the legendary astronomer Johannes Kepler. But get this, it has nothing to do with stars or planets. Nope. This was about him trying to save his own mom.
So, Kepler's mother, Katharina, was facing 49 separate accusations of witchcraft. And the prosecution? They thought they had this open and shut case, all built on a really simple, really compelling, and, as it turns out, an incredibly dangerous plot.
So what we're looking at here is basically a battle of two different stories. See, the prosecution's plot was built on this super common logical trap. It's basically, hey, this happened, and then that happened, so the first thing must have caused the second thing. It's kind of lazy thinking, right? Kepler's real genius here wasn't just saying, nah. He meticulously built a better plot, a stronger one, swapping out their superstition with actual science.
So Kepler's whole strategy here, it really pulls back the curtain on what makes a plot tick. And his secret weapon wasn't that he was this famous astronomer. Not at all. It was that he just got, on a deep, intuitive level, the power of causality.
And this, right here, is the absolute heart of it. Plot isn't just a list of things happening. This happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. No, it's a chain of cause and effect. Everything is connected by that one powerful little word, because.
The novelist E.M. Forster had this brilliant way of showing the difference. The first one, the king died, and then the queen died. That's just a sequence of events. It's a story, sure, but the second one, that's a plot. That little phrase of grief, that's everything. It's the because. It's the causal glue that connects the two events and gives them real meaning.
And this is exactly what Kepler did. For all 49 of those accusations, he didn't just deny them, he offered a better, more believable because. He basically gave the judges a new story to follow, one that was just way more logical and based on evidence. And it worked. It saved his mother's life.
Okay, so if because is the engine of the plot, then what does the vehicle look like? What's the structure? Well, it turns out that the story structure most of us think of as the only way to tell a story is really just one option among many.
Right, so most of us probably learned about this in school, Freytag's pyramid, and it's a great model. It's all about building a story around a central conflict. But see, it works on this huge assumption that the only thing that makes a story interesting is conflict. Is that really true?
So let's look at a totally different approach, the classic Japanese structure, Kisho Tenketsu. Its engine isn't conflict, not at all. It's driven by surprise and then bringing things together. Now, just think for a second about how powerful this could be in, say, a business negotiation. If you go in thinking conflict, you're setting up a battle, a win-lose situation. But if you use the Kisho Tenketsu model, you're looking to introduce a new idea, a twist, and then find a way to make it work with what's already on the table. That leads to collaboration, to a win-win. So the takeaway here is huge. The structure you choose for your story isn't just a literary device. It's actually a reflection of a worldview. Whether you build your story on a foundation of conflict or a foundation of synthesis, that choice fundamentally changes the outcome. It literally changes the reality you're creating.
Okay, but this incredible power we have to create meaning, well, it has a dark side. The same tool that helps us make sense of everything can also be the very thing that fools us. It's a classic double-edged sword, and we really need to be aware of it.
And this brings us to what's called the plot paradox. Look, our brains are wired to find a plot. We crave that because to connect the dots. And that's great. It helps us navigate the world. But that same drive can make us see connections that aren't actually there. We end up just making stuff up to create a story that makes sense to us.
So there are two huge red flags we need to be watching out for. First, there's what we could call better plot substitution. That's when we pick a story because it's neat and tidy and feels good, not because it's actually true. And the second one is sticky plot blindness. This is when a story gets a hold of us, and from that point on, we twist every new piece of information to make it fit our story, instead of asking if the story itself might be wrong.
Let's go back to Kepler's mom for a second. Her accusers, they weren't necessarily these evil villains. They were just victims of the plot paradox. Think about it. The witch story was simple. It was clean. It gave them an easy answer. It was a much, much easier plot to believe than the messy, complicated reality that Kepler was trying to explain. They chose the better-feeling story, not the truer one.
And look, this isn't just something that happens in courtrooms from the 1600s or in novels. The most important place where plot is constantly at work is inside our own heads. It's in the stories that shape our entire lives, our careers, our relationships, how we see the world. And these stories, the ones we tell about ourselves and our societies, they develop this kind of inertia. Let's call it plot inertia. They become almost impossible to change. You know why? Because we've built our entire identities, our beliefs, our institutions right on top of them. So to change the story, well, that feels like shaking the very foundations of who we are. And the stickiest plots of all, the ones with the most inertia, are always the ones we tell about ourselves. I mean, think about those causal chains we all have. Like, oh, I'm just not a math person because I flunked a test back in 5th grade. Or I'm just terrible at relationships because of how my last one ended. See, these aren't just thoughts, they're plots. They're scripts we live by. And trying to challenge one of them can feel like you're attacking your own identity.
So this is where it all comes home. This is where this mental model stops being theoretical and becomes an incredibly powerful tool for looking at your own life. Seriously, what are the big, load-bearing stories that you've just accepted? The ones that hold up your whole view of yourself? What are the causal chains you've built to explain your life?
So here's a challenge for you. Pick one of those stories, one of those plots you live by. Maybe it's about your job or relationship or your family. And I mean, really ask yourself, is the because in your story rock solid, like the case Kepler built for his mother? Or is it just a tidy, convenient story, a simple plot that was just easier to believe than digging into the messy truth? Because here's the most powerful thing to take away from all of this. Once you understand how plot works, that power of because, the fact that you can choose its shape, and the trap of the plot paradox, you suddenly have the ability to audit your own stories. You get the power to pick up the pen. You can become the author of your own, truer, and way more powerful story.